called July 4th, 2017. I'm standing on the L train as a young father steps in behind me at the DeKalb Ave stop. He is holding the hand of a young, extremely hyperactive small white girl. She must be about 5. She is excitedly showing the nearest older lady stranger a coin in her tiny open palm. She explains to the stranger, "I have this special coin. It's real money. I have a lot of real money at my house." The older woman laughs and indulges her by making statements like, "Oh wow, that's a quarter," and asking questions such as, "What are you going to do with it? Are you going to spend it?" When the little girl loses interest in the quarter, she takes to laying her head on the older woman's leg. Dark amber tendrils of thin hair spread out in all directions on the woman's crisp white pants. The little girl's father pleads with her. "Enough, get up," he says. To which she responds with shrill laughter. The older woman says aside to her husband, "I wish I were like that." I envy the little girl too. I try my best to shake the image of her adult self, but she reminds me so much of the pristine, drunk white girls from Midtown Manhattan who unapologetically and confidently take up all the space in the subway car, even at the expense of strangers. She looks so much like the girls in middle school and high school I wanted to befriend in the hopes that I would feel as confident and entitled to so much of the world too. The little girl throws herself upward drunkenly from the lap of the older woman. She sways and staggers, pushing silky mess of shiny amber out of her eyes and mouth. She locks eyes on another girl who stands quietly across the car with her family. She's a young girl of color, possibly South Asian, and a little older than the immensely energetic and extroverted white girl. Her father stands next to her, holding her younger brother in his arms. She occasionally pokes the cheek of her younger brother, who sleepily rests it on their father's shoulder. The younger white girl uses both hands to grab onto the same silver pole the older girl is holding. I watch their exchange, but can't really make out everything being said. I see the look of uneasiness on the older girl's face. She is visibly overwhelmed by the younger girl's bold demeanor and fast speaking at full volume. She looks at the younger girl as if she has 5 heads, in between occasionally rolling her eyes and glancing at her family for backup. The younger girl, oblivious to the older girl's trepidation, rattles on about how she's on her way to see the fireworks with her mom and dad in Queens. At the next stop, the younger girl's father taps her, grabs her hand, and leads her off the train alongside a large group of people, most of whom are dressed to the nines in red, white, and blue. After the door closes, I hear the older girl, exasperated, as if exhausted by the recent interaction, say to her parents, "I told her my name was Shashi 3 times, but she wouldn't listen." Without thinking, I get the urge to say something along the lines of, "Strap in, Shashi," or "It only continues from here." I wouldn't encroach on her innocence like that. It's cynical, I know, to compare the magnitude of adult white people speaking like incessant tidal waves over women of color to this exchange, and I'm happy for the young white girl. I hope she never loses her vibrancy and confidence the way I did as I became older and more aware of my identity. I wonder if there's statistics somewhere. Statistics that measure the number of young girls of color who are confident enough in their whole being to move through life loudly and largely, even when everyone is watching. And I wonder how these numbers would compare to the young white kids who do so. I kind of want to hug Shashi, even though I'm sure she feels as though she doesn't need one. I miss feeling that way too.